All right. I think I got everything. I got the recording started. I got the screen shared. I got the audio on. I think we're good. So, all right. So this is my daily log from today, and I was doing great. This was a good day. I was on top of the world today, going into work today. 1:30, I was up $5,800. It's totaled out right here. I was at almost 10%. It was like 9.7%. I mean, this was like, oh yeah, this is going to be my best day yet. And then what happens? I don't even does anyone know what time that announcement came out about the tariffs? Because I had to go to a client's office today, so I'm out there, and so I'm just seeing my phone blow up, but I'm at a client's office, so I can't just like be on my phone. It was torture. Like this had to happen in like the 3 to 4 hours of the afternoon that I couldn't manage it. I was dying. So this comes out about this tariff announcement, this agreement between Trump and the European leaders. And I mean, you guys tell me, what was your experience this afternoon? It was insane. Stuff was just going all over the place. Derek says I was obliterated. Yeah, exactly. Thank the Lord I was up 10% because I had something to show for it at the end of the day. Because if not, oh my gosh. So here I am, almost 10% up, and then that happens. And look at this. I mean, everything was getting stopped out. And this was all of those exotics that people say they don't trade, and this is probably why. Now that being said, even with all of that, like let's take this euro turkey, I forget what it was called, the lira. Is that right, Derek? I know you told me yesterday. um I lost $2,600 today on that one. That was a killer. And I'm going to show you guys, by the way, why I should have never got into that trade. That was the very last trade I took on that pair. And I got into that way too hastily, because if I had looked at my chart a little closer, I would have never gotten into that trade. And I'll show you guys what I missed, that if I had been paying attention, I never would have even triggered that trade, because I know exactly what happened. So, but even with that $2,700, I've been trading that pair now for 2 days. This is the one that I was trading at the airport, if you guys remember. Here I have it totaled out already. That was $3,000 in one day yesterday. And then I think I did it no, I guess I didn't do it the day before. So I was trading that over and over yesterday, got $3,000 for it. So even though I got stopped out on that one, in the end, trading that pair, I still came out ahead. And really, the that stopped out there was my own stupidity. I mean, this is one of those things where I learned the hard way that I got into hastily, and I should have been paying more attention. And I'll show you guys what I did and why I shouldn't have gotten into that. So in the end, I still came out ahead. So I'm not going to beat myself up about it. I still increased my account size by over 1%. $700 for one day, that is not bad. So I am not going to be crying about that, even though I thought it was going to be a lot better. And if this had been reversed, my perspective would have been reversed, right? If like all the bad stuff had happened in the beginning of the day and then I came out of the hole, I would be like dancing right now, right? It's like this is like the big letdown, because I went to the highest peak and then came crashing down. So if it had happened in reversed order, right now I would just be so grateful, right? Because I got out of the hole. So it's all perspective. And here's another way it's perspective. To me now, because I've been doing so well every day in terms of percentages, 1% looks just blah. But I went in here and Googled highest paying bonds, right? Because there's a lot of people that do bonds, especially since they're secure. Look at this. There's articles here that tell you the 5 highest yield bonds here, up to 8%. There's another one here that's, what, 6? I didn't mean to click on that. 68%, right? This is like the top paying bonds here. So that's for a year. So put in perspective the fact that I made only 1% in a day. I got to keep that in perspective. So that's what I've been telling myself today is, yeah, we had a terrible news day, but put it in perspective. And I will also show you my husband's chart, and you can see what an active trader he is, man. He closed one trade today, but look at that. He basically did the same performance rate that I did today, he's laughing in there, taking all of these trades. How many trades is this that I took today? This is 28 trades. I did 1.24%. This man closes one trade and outperforms me. I'm like really, really starting to second guess myself here. So I think maybe I just need to get my husband to start doing my trading. Anyway, so this is his chart here today. He didn't quite make his 2% goal, but I guess, well, yeah, he said he didn't close out anything except for that one last night. This was actually 6 o'clock last night, so he really didn't even close anything. He had to work all day, so he wasn't focused on it. But the funny thing is he did nothing for it today and still beat me. So what does that tell you? Like, okay, maybe my husband needs to be the one running this. Anyway, so that's how he did today. Even though he didn't quite make his goal, he still got $16 and increased it by 1.47%. That's nothing to scoff at. I mean, let's just change this to, let's just say he averaged 1.47% every day. At the end of the year, that's $52,000. He said that's what I make. And he works in the hot sun. Like in Texas and Dallas right now, it is so hot. How hot was it today? It was like 107. He was out working in that today. He came home just miserable. And so yeah, if he can just close his one trade a day, he makes the equivalent of what he makes going out there in that heat. So all about perspective. It's all about percentages, and that's it may look like $16, but keep it in perspective. In fact, I want to show this Discord. We were talking results today, and I want to go up to Don's post here, which I was really excited for him. Actually, he opened up $1,000 sim account, so he's using the practice money, set up a trade. His goal was $20, 2%, and he ended up making almost double that, $38, which I showed him what that equates to. Like if he's able to keep and maintain that 2%, and I put in what he did today, day one, that's $188,000 at the end of the year. But here's the other thing I pointed out to him, and I don't know if I posted a screenshot of it, but I put his up there. I had put in his actual numbers today, but before I had done that, the spreadsheet balance at the end of the year, not that one, this one, that total, that's 188,000. Before I changed that daily total to $38 when it was still $20, this was 185,000. So I was telling Don that extra $18 that you made equates to $3,000 at the end of the year because of compound interest. That $18 every day, if you're able to maintain 1 or 2%, you're making money on that additional money. So don't scoff at it. That I keep showing you guys this because I don't want you to be discouraged when you might be looking at my account size, which I only have right now because we sold our house and I'm not going to have that money for long. So I'm trying to take full advantage of it. But if you guys see this concept that it's all about percentages, hopefully you won't get discouraged if you only make 10, 20, $30. It adds up. And if you just let it continue to grow, look at this. 1 year, $188,000. That's crazy. That is, I mean, that's awesome. So then Derek, he asked me, okay, well, what if I did a $5,000 account? I asked him, I said, do you think you could use an extra $1 million? 2% a day? I mean, how feasible is it to get 2% a day? My husband is demonstrating it's really not that difficult. So I want to just keep hitting this home. It's all about percentages, and that's why I keep emphasizing percentages, and that's what like I want you guys to focus on. Don't look at the $2 or the $10. Look at how much percentage wise you increased your account. That's what matters, and it will grow rapidly. So if you guys aren't in Discord, you should get in Discord, and here is where we're posting results for the day, is in this results channel, if you see here on the left. So get in there and post your results, just like Don did today. I loved it. Like, I loved being able to analyze what he did and what it meant for him at the end of the year. So I'd love to hear how you guys do at the end of the day, end of the week, end of the month. You know, let's do some analysis on it. Let's get excited about it. So post in here and let's see how y'all do. All right, so I got some feedback. Leave it to your best friend and your kids to be bluntly honest about how you could improve things. Apparently, I'm using too many words, going too long, and too fast. So, and I got feedback today from a lot of people that were new that they still don't get the zones, and they said the mouse was moving too fast. They didn't know what I was pointing to, things like that. That was the feedback I was getting. So I'm going to do another pair from start to finish from an empty chart, and I'm going to try to bring in some different methods and not just rely on my mouse to point things out, to hopefully make it a little bit more clear, especially for people that are brand new at this, and hopefully make it a little less complicated for you. So for some reason my Awanda closed, so let me get that back open. And we'll just do one from start to finish. And I'm thinking about this weekend whenever I'm setting up my weekly, you know, because I have to update my weekly zones at the end of the week. I'm thinking when I do that, maybe I'll just record the whole thing and I'll invite you guys if anyone wants to sit in on it. You don't have to, because I'll probably just go through every single pair, which will take forever. So I don't expect people to sit for the whole thing. But if I record the whole thing, then it's there available if anybody ever does want to sit through the whole thing. And if it, you know, if I just go through it over and over and over and over, then hopefully, you know, you guys will get something from that. Oh, this is not my right account. I don't know why, but it always defaults me to this M4 account. I don't even know what that is, but it drives me crazy because it's not an account I use. Excuse me. All right, so I'm going to chart New Zealand yen. I already deleted it out so it would be completely clear. Come on, where'd you go? There we go. So the idea is we're looking for odd numbered wicks. So just for a little review, we're looking at a candle chart right now. I'm going to start maybe using a circle tool instead of my mouse. Let me see if I can find that little shape. Let's try this. All right. The top, no, this is not the right tool here. What I want. Let me find something that's better. In fact, you know what? I'll just use a box. I'm used to boxes. I know how to use them. And let me do the border in, let's say, red. Okay. That top of the wick is how far price went during the time period of this candle. I'm currently on a weekly chart. Let me change it to a 12-month chart because that's always where I start. Let me expand this out because hopefully that'll make it easier to see. The very top of every candle, which is the very top of the wick, or it may not have a wick, like this blue candle right here. Let me move this box. Do you see that? Where I have my box, which is not moving with me very quickly. That one doesn't have a wick. What does that mean? That means that price closed at the highest point. It didn't get any higher than the closing price. That's what that's telling you. If it has a wick, it's telling you that it reached this point, but it didn't close at that point. Because only the body demonstrates the closing and the opening price. Hopefully that makes sense. I have a comment here. Derek, top left, you can change the mouse icon. Hover over the plus sign and the options will appear. Top left. So what are these options? I don't even know what I'm looking at. What does this do? I don't know Awanda that well, actually. I need someone to teach me this. I don't even know what this dot does. See, I don't even know what those are. So yeah, if you have any platform questions, I am not the person to ask. I know like enough to get by in this software, and that's about it. So top of the wicks. The wicks are what we want to look at to draw our ceilings and our floors. We don't care about candle bodies except for that's where, if you will, the wall is that we start from. And I'll get into that as we go through this. But the top of the wick is the highest price of that time period. And since I'm on a 12-month chart, this candle is 12 months of price action. The bottom wick demonstrates the very lowest price of that time period, which is 12 months. So the lowest point, the highest point, and then the body, the candle itself, represents where price opened and where it closed. Since this is a blue candle, that means it closed higher than it opened. So opening price was down here at the bottom, the closing price was here at the top. However, if it was a red candle, like this one, it's the opposite. It closed lower than it opened. It went down. So it closed up here. It opened up here and closed down here. So that's what that's telling you. The areas at the top and the bottom, those wicks, demonstrate pressure, either selling pressure or buying pressure. Over here, this big wick right here, that is a big indication of selling pressure. However, it's sort of negated right here because it also has a ton of buying pressure. So this candle right here is really a neutral candle because it's got pressure coming from both sides and it's essentially sideways. However, there's ones like this that has a ton of buying pressure, but not much selling pressure there. That being said, it still went down. So my guess is what happened. Let me look at price action here. It went up to here. It started coming down, but then probably what happened is it had a big push up after that. And you can see from that point on, it had trouble. It started what I call basing. it couldn't really go much of anywhere. It started going sideways. So there was sort of a battle here. It started coming down really hard, and it came all the way down to here. But once it reached this point, buying pressure started, which means there was more buyers than sellers, and it was pushing price back up. Then there was a battle because you see all these neutral candles here. It was still moving somewhat down, but it was a battle. So that's in a nutshell how to read these candles. For the method that I use to make money, I'm only interested in those places where there's buying pressure and selling pressure, the wicks. I don't really use the candle bodies themselves much. I am more interested in the wicks. So I don't know if it'd be easier. I'm trying to kind of adjust the way I do this to make it more understandable, because clearly the way I've been explaining it is still confusing. I'm going to make this bigger. Hopefully that will help. And let's just start from current price, and we'll start with the ceilings first. So starting here, this is the current candle. This is the current year. Since this is a yearly chart, this is 2018. So we're going to start here and work our way up. We're looking for odd numbered wicks. Why? This created a ceiling right here. Actually, technically, because there's a wall here, the ceiling was created at this point, because we want to look at the walls first. Well, actually, that doesn't go that far up. Hold on. Here's a wall. So let's just go to the nearest wall. That'd probably be easier. I'm trying to figure out the easiest way to do this to make it understandable. So bear with me while I think through this. We're going to go through to the wall, and let's work from there. Right here, we have the very, very tip of this candle. It's not much, but there is one little wick there that sticks out further than this one. So that one stands by itself. It's just one. So you have wall and one wick. That's an odd number. So we want to mark that area. It's tiny, but I'll go ahead and mark it. I probably wouldn't mark this if I'm just doing my regular weekly setups here, but I will go ahead and mark this just for educational purposes. I'll stretch this out even so we can see it better. Maybe that's a little bit more understandable. Do you see there that in that red zone, and by the way, my 12-month zones are always red, and I border it in red if it's a ceiling, and we're working on ceilings right now. Right there in that zone, there is only one wick. Does everyone see that? Does that make sense? Underneath it, you can see right there, the second one starts, and that's why I stopped the zone at that point. So I don't care about this area where there's two wicks, this whole huge chunk right here. Why? Well, at this point, this ceiling was created, demonstrating the selling pressure. But then in the next candle, which was the next year, it was obliterated. It was destroyed. That area of resistance no longer was resistance. So it was neutralized. So I don't care about that area that has two wicks. So we're going to keep moving down. Now right here, where that body starts, that's a new wall. So now we're going to start from this wall. And you can see going right from that wall, there's only one wick right here. So that's a new ceiling. So we're going to start a new ceiling right there. So in that new ceiling, there's only one wall. Only one wick. Is that clear? And everyone see that? Here you have one. Here you have two in the white area. In the red area, you have one. So one or any odd number is a ceiling or a floor. Moving down, I did not mark this area because we now have 2 wicks. Don't want that. It was created and then it was destroyed. It was jackhammered through. Now another wall starts. So we're going to start from this new wall. We only have 1 wick in this wall. Now this is the current candle. And I've mentioned this a couple times. I only mark on the current candle opposite of where the opposite of the direction price is going, which in this case price is going down. So I'll mark the ceiling, but I'm not going to mark the floor because that's the direction price is going and it'll constantly be changing. So here is the new ceiling right there above the current candle. So here we have 1, so it's got a zone or a ceiling. Here in the white area, we have 2. In the next ceiling, we have 1. In this next white area, we have 2. In the next ceiling, we have 1. All right, now I'm going to go ahead on the 12-month chart and mark all the zones because these don't have to be updated but once a year and there's not that many candles. So I usually just go ahead and do all of them. I don't do all of them on every time frame. That would take forever. Now, do you guys see there's nothing left of this? I don't have a wall to start from because it doesn't go that far back. So I'm going to go ahead and mark this 1 count. But I would suggest anytime you're marking zones, mark them all the way from the wall if you can. See how I started every zone from a wall and took it all the way across. So that you can actually go through your zone and count the wicks that are in it and make sure it's an odd number. Since I don't have a wall here to start from, I just started from the beginning. Now here right underneath this ceiling, there's a 2 count. But then we have over here this little tiny candle, or sorry, a little tiny wick that makes a 3 count in that very small area. So there, I'm drawing another ceiling. So you guys can see there's a 1 count up here in this red area. For a very brief second here, there was a 2 count, very small sliver that's white. And then we have another ceiling where there's 3. I don't care about any of this because it's behind walls. If it's left of a wall, we don't care. At least not for drawing ceilings and floors. It does matter when you're, how do I say this? You do want to pay attention to wicks behind the wall, like this. Let me draw a box around it. This right here, you want to pay attention to those. In fact, that right there, not paying attention to that right there is why this happened. A wick behind the wall is what got me right there. My zones were fine. My ceilings and floors, there was no problem with where my target and my entries were in terms of my ceilings and floors. But the fact that I didn't check to see if there was wicks behind the wall that might screw me up cost me $2,700. So pay attention to those. But in terms of drawing zones, you don't need anything left of a wall. So we don't care about any of that. So I started from the top, then a wall starts, so I worked my way left of the walls. So that's all of our ceilings right there. That's all we care about. Now we'll go back to current price and start working our way down to draw the floors. And we're going to work our way to the first wall, which is this right here. You see how there's current price right here? I don't care about any of this because it's all left of a wall. Don't care. It's irrelevant. So I'm going to work my way from current price to the next wall, which is this blue candle. And we have a count of 3 right there under current price. So we're going to draw a floor. Now, do you remember what I said about the current action candle and not drawing the floor underneath it? So I'm not going to keep this here because it's constantly going to be changing. Like this, as price fluctuates and it's in a downward motion, this is always going to have to be moved. And I'm not going to come in here all the time and change this. So I'm just going to wait for that candle to finish before I draw anything down here. I did go ahead and draw this one, however, if you remember me saying I'll draw the one that's the opposite direction of price action, because price is probably not going to get back up to that point, and if it does, it'll take a long time. So I'm going to ignore that area, even though that's technically a zone. Then we have this 2 count, and I don't care about that. But here we have this one long wick just by itself that reaches down further than anything else. So that is a floor. And I'm going to take this all the way to the wall. I'm also going to change the border to green because it's a floor and not a ceiling. Now we're going to keep going. Go to the wall. Follow the wall down. There's nothing over here to worry about. So let's go to the next wall. Going to compress this a little bit and move it up. So we follow this wall down and then go to the next wall. This is the next wall right here. We don't care about this wick because it's irrelevant. It's left of a wall. So we're looking for everything under this point. And there is a count of 3 right there. So we have a floor right there where there's 3 wicks. 1, 2, 3. We don't care about this area where there's only 2, which is just very, very small, but it's there. But the next floor starts right underneath that where there's only 1. So you can see there's a count of 1 in that box, there's a count of 2 in the white areas, and there's a count of 3 in the red area. Down here, continuing to follow the wall, now we don't have any walls over here because we're now at the very beginning of this chart. So we'll just start at the beginning and work our way down. There's 2 until you get to the end of that red candle wick, and then we have a count of 1. So that is all your floors. These are all your ceilings. So how was that? Was that slow enough? Too fast? Too slow? All right, Derek says that makes much more sense. My husband says he loves it. So can you explain the single candle that bit you more behind the wall? Yes. Yeah, when I do the daily review and go through our day, I will definitely talk about that, and I'll pull up the charts and show that. So let me get through just walking through this, since this is what I'm getting the most feedback about, people wanting more information about this and they want it slower. Let me walk all the way through this down to the weekly, set my what I call my notification trades, and then I'll start doing the daily review, going through what happened today. All right. I go from the yearly, the 12-month chart, to the 1-month chart. Now, I've mentioned before, you do not have to do all the monthly zones. That will take you forever. Don't waste your time. I'm only interested in monthly zones from our current, like around current price, the nearest floor and the nearest ceiling, right? These are all red zones that we just drew in a higher time frame. So I'm basically interested in anything from down here, and I might draw one if it's close to that area, and then anything up in this area, but nothing beyond that. I mean, this is a year's worth of action we're talking about right here. So you really don't need to waste your time drawing anything beyond that. All right, so starting from the current price candle, this again is the current price action that's going on this month. This is a monthly chart. So this is July 2018, this blue candle at the end. So we're going to start with current price. It's a blue candle, so it's going up. On some of your charts, it might look green. And by the way, you can change that by right-clicking going to properties, and you can change the colors of your wicks, your borders, your candles. You can change all of that. You can also change your background, because when you first open these, it has all those vertical lines and horizontal lines. I don't like all that clutter, so I take it off. But you can change all of that. It has lots of options here for you. Okay, so current price. We're going to move our way up and do our ceilings first. Now, since this is the current candle, where is price action going? It's going up. So if I was to draw a ceiling right here, which that is a valid ceiling because it's a 1 count, but price is moving up, so that would always constantly be changing. I'm just going to ignore that area because I don't want to keep having to adjust that. Right above that, let's go to the nearest wall. Here's the nearest wall above that one. We have a 2 count. I don't care about a 2 count. So let's keep going. Right here, there's like a minuscule, very, very minuscule 1 count before you get to the end of this wall. I'm not even going to bother drawing that. That is so small. I don't even think you would be able to tell what color it was. All right, so let's keep going. Right here we have a 4 count. I'm going up to the next wall up here. There's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't care about that because that is an even number. The zone was created, the ceiling was created, it was destroyed, it was created, and then destroyed. So it's no longer there. It's been neutralized. But where this candle ends right here, this red one, there's a count of 3. So I'm going to go all the way to the wall and draw a ceiling. Since we're on the monthly chart, my monthly color is blue. Since it's a ceiling, my border is red. So there we have our very first ceiling above current price, outside of the one that's on the action candle, what I call the action candle, because it's the current price candle. So 3 count, 1, 2, 3. Should be an odd number. If there's a box there, it should only be an odd number. If you have an even number in a box, delete the box because it's not a zone. It's not a ceiling. It's not a floor. All right, we have a 2 count. Continuing our way up, right there at the top of that candle wick, we have a zone. We have a ceiling. Then I'm going to work my way up to the top of this wall. Then we go to the next wall, this red action candle. Well, we have a 2 count. I don't care about that. The ceiling was created and then it was destroyed. It's not relevant. And now we're at the very top of our higher time frame ceiling. So I don't care about anything beyond that. So we're going to work our way back to current price right here and then start going down to build our floors. So working our way down, let's find the wall. There's the wall. There's a small floor of a 3 count, and I'll go ahead and draw it. Starting at the very base of this wall, you can see it's very tiny. I'm going to change the border to green because this is a floor. So now we have a 3 count. But then we have an extra wick starting over here when we get to our next wall. So that's 4. It's created, destroyed, created, destroyed. So don't care about that area. But then right here, where that first wick ends, we have a 3 count. We're going to start from the wall and work our way over. Everything in that box should equal an odd number. 1, 2, 3. It does. If there is an even number in your box, something's wrong. Now, back at the wall, we now have 2. That's an even number. We don't care about that. It was created, it was destroyed. But right where that wick ends, we still have this one. So we're going to capture that one. Now we have a bunch of them. But we're going to go to the wall. So, wait, actually we have a little wall right here first. You see that? We have a little area that's got a wall. We have 1, 2. We don't care about that area, so we can continue to the next wall. So moving left, we go all the way to the nearest wall, and that's this one. So we got a lot to count here. And I just usually follow that line. You know, just let your eyes follow that line from the wall to the left and go right. So we have a red candle there first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That is a floor. And the number is not relevant. All that's relevant is that it's an odd number, because you want to know that it's a valid zone, that it hasn't been destroyed. That last candle recreated that floor. Doesn't matter how many came before it. The point is it's an odd number, which means the last movement was a creation of a floor. Okay, continuing back at the wall, moving right. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's still an odd number, so we can just continue this down until we get to the end of another wick. Now let's count these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is not an even number, so we're going to skip that area and start a new box where that one ends. Now you can see there's like a sliver here, which I can't even draw zones this small very well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Very tiny, but there's a 5 count there. Right underneath it, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to go under that little tip there and capture the 3. Now this is getting really, really detailed. When I'm doing this every week or month, I'm probably just going to draw a big box in that whole area and not worry about those little slivers where you see the red. I don't think it's going to make any difference in your decision process to have those little tiny slivers like that. But I wanted to do it to be very, very accurate and show you for training purposes. Don't be stressing about this. Like, the point that you're really trying to get to here is that this is a very strong zone. So the fact that you have this very accurate, you know, zone drawing here is not going to be relevant to your decision making. There might be times when you need that for some reason, maybe if you're working in really low time frames, but in this case, if I was just drawing this for myself, I just put a big blue box there. Okay, so that is all our ceilings and our floors. And you see I only went to the bottom of this red area. I don't care about anything below that. I also don't care about anything above this ceiling, this red ceiling. I'm only interested in what's close to current price. Now that I've done the monthly, I'm going to do one more time zone or time frame, and that's the weekly. Same process. Every time frame is the same process. Here's current price, this red line. It's going in a downward motion. We're going to start up first and do our ceilings first. Go to the wall, the first wall above current price, this one right here. I am going to mark this ceiling because price is working in a downward direction, so I will go ahead and do the opposing zone, which is the ceiling in this case. I'm doing a red border because it's a ceiling, and because it's a weekly zone, I'm doing it in brown. My weekly zones are always brown. All right, we're going back to the wall and working our way up. Right above the wall, we have 1, 2, 3 wicks, and we're going to go all the way to the wall there. See, 1, 2, 3. So we're going to build another ceiling right there until we get to the end of that wick. Right here we have only 2. So we're going to ignore that area until we get to the end of this wick, and we'll capture this 1. Now, this one only goes to the end of this body because there's a tiny, tiny little wick right there at the top of that red candle. So if you guys can see that, there's two little tiny wicks sticking out there. So we are going to ignore that area. Going to the wall, working our way up. Going to the wall, we have 3 right there. So we're going to build another ceiling. Here again, we're only going to take this to the top of that candle body because there's a wick right here that makes it an even number. Continuing to the wall, we're going to capture this area that has 3. 1, 2, 3. Should always have an odd number in the boxes. Continuing up, 1, 2. Follow the walls. Climbing up, going to the next wall. There's a 3 count right there. So let's capture that little area. And we're almost getting to the top here where we don't need to go any further because we're now at the very top of our higher time frame ceiling. So I don't care about anything above that. So let's work our way back to current price right here, this red line, and we're going to build our floors. Follow from current price, go down to the next wall. We have a 2 count. We don't care about that. It was created and destroyed. Go to the end of that wall and then to the next one. Here we do have a 3 count, so that is a floor. Because it's a floor, I'm going to change the border to green, and this remains brown because it's still a weekly zone. All right, continuing on the wall. We have a 2 count here, don't care about that. But then when that wick ends, there's a 1 count. Continue down the wall. Now, there's nothing else here, so we got to find the next wall, which we can't even see right now. So I'm going to compress this until I can find the next wall. And there it is over here. So we have this little blue box to help us here from the monthly zone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There is an odd number there. Starting from the wall, we're going to go all the way over here until we get to an even number, which is at the bottom of that wick right there. So remember, it should always be an odd number of wicks in your zones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Beyond that, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't care about that. Created, destroyed, created, destroyed. Under this wick here, we have a 3 count. Remember, always odd numbers in the boxes. Then at the very bottom of this candle, we have 1, 2. Don't care about that. Created, destroyed. I am going to go ahead and draw one underneath the higher time frame floor because it's so close. And by the way, you notice I went beyond this one. The reason I did that is because it was so small. If it's a really small area that's probably going to get broken through pretty easy, I go ahead and go to the next one. Not pretty easy. I mean, that's still a strong area, but because it's so small, I like to go ahead and get to a bigger one. All right. There's 3 in there. And then under here, we still have a 1 wick. So I'm going to carry that all the way to the bottom of that candle body, which actually encompasses yet another monthly zone. Do you guys see the strength of this area right here? That is a very, very, very strong floor. And I need to carry some of these over a little bit further because current price is right here. So I want to make sure we are going to be able to see it on our charts. All right. So that is a highly reinforced floor right there. I compare monthly zones, ceilings, and floors to like having a steel floor or a steel ceiling, like reinforced with steel. Weeklies are also very strong. Weekly zones, floors, and ceilings are kind of like having a rebar enforced floor or ceiling. Also very strong. I'm looking for areas where there is a weekly inside of a monthly. That is my playing field. That's where I set up my trades. Now, I mentioned last night, these are usually big zones. I don't mind taking on extra risk for the security of knowing that price would have to get through quite a bit of resistance to get to my stop loss. I am perfectly happy putting my stop loss down here, or I might even take some of this annual zone because that's a very strong area. But a lot of people don't want to do that. They don't want to take that much risk. That's a, that's a big area here. I'll use this measuring tool to demonstrate that, which it always has a lag. It drives me nuts. So you can see from this measuring tool, if you took your stop loss and put it underneath that, that's 121 pips. You ignore that last number because that's a decimal. That's 121 pips right there. And if you encompassed some of this area, you're talking almost 200 pips. All right, well, let's say you wanted to do a long, which when I say do a long, I'm saying you're buying and you're wanting it to go up. They call that a long. So you push the buy button. Let's say you want to buy 1,000 units and you're putting in a $200 or 200 pip stop loss. It will show you what your risk is here. Let's say you want a bigger position size. With 100,000 units, you're risking $1,800. Now, this is the numbers I operate in right now. And you can see this happened to me today with the tariff news, right? I had 300,000 units in this trade. It hit my stop loss, which is really far. You know, I put my stop losses way far away and take that whole zone. I take these entire zones. So that is why when a trade goes badly for me, which doesn't happen often because I use those entire zones, but obviously when big news comes out, now sometimes the big news helps me. Look here. I mean, I made $1,400 on that one. That one went in my direction, so news helped me on that one. But the times when it doesn't, ouch. But again, I showed you earlier on this particular pair, I traded that all day yesterday and still came out ahead because I made $3,000 trading that pair yesterday. So I still came out ahead on that pair. So I'm not sweating that. But I just wanted to show you that to demonstrate that's the risk involved in having these big giant zones where your stop loss is way far away from your entry. So there's ways that you can adjust. I'm just showing you what I do, and I keep saying this because I want to make sure this hits home. I am not advising anyone on how to trade. I'm just showing you and demonstrating what I'm doing that has been working for me, and you can take this and modify it and adjust it and find ways to lower your risk if you don't have my risk tolerance, because I have a high amount of risk tolerance. I'm one of those people that I would rather go full force and risk everything and lose it than never have risked it. Like, I can endure the pain of losing more than I can endure the pain of never trying. But I know that is not true for everyone. For most people, they would say the pain of losing is worse than risking it. So I get that not everyone's like me. In fact, most people aren't. So you need to, if you're watching this and learning something from it, know that you need to fit this and mold this to your risk tolerance, your personality, how you like to trade, and your style. So a way that you might adjust this if you don't like these big zones and taking all this risk is maybe you find overlap in a smaller time frame. For example, you could find this same kind of situation, but instead of a monthly and weekly, maybe you find a daily and a 3-hour. And if you do operate in those lower time frames, it might be wise to find a 3 overlap where you have 3 reinforcements, just to give you a little added protection there. Because dailies, yeah, they're solid zones. It's like a double studded wall, but you can still get through that with a sledgehammer. Whereas a steel wall, you need dynamite or a blowtorch or something. So daily zones are still solid, but it's not as solid. So maybe you want to take a daily and a 3-hour and a 30-minute. Find areas where those three overlap and operate in that arena. Although if you go to a 30-minute zone, that means you're constantly updating. So I don't know how practical that would be. So maybe you find, trying to think what other time frames. Maybe you do a weekly and a daily and a 3-hour, and maybe find only weekly zones that are small, because you can find some of these. You see up here, some of these weekly zones are not very big. So you could find maybe a small weekly zone where it overlaps with a daily zone that overlaps with a 3-hour zone, something like that. There's a lot of ways you can adjust the strategy to fit your risk tolerance so that you're not having to have such far stop losses. And I mentioned last night, when you're putting this order in and you're setting your position size and you're putting in your stop loss, which I put in 200 a while ago. If you see this number, it's telling you how much you're risking here. If this goes badly, that's how much you will lose. If you see that number and it's giving you anxiety, don't do it. Do not trade with anxiety. You will make bad decisions. That is literally the worst thing you could do. Take that down to a number that you can look at and be at complete peace with losing it. If you go into this trade with anxiety, you're going to be on edge. You're going to be making bad decisions that are based in fear or greed, and you won't make as much money. So I can't emphasize enough. Trust me, I learned this from personal experience. You will make much better, more logical decisions if you can remove the emotion. All right. Does that make sense? Oh, I have somebody asking a question here. Explain the difference between the market, limit, and stop for newer people. I am going to be bluntly honest here. I don't know. I really don't. I have actually been wondering that myself. I don't know. So, and I've actually had instructors explain this in class, and I think it made me more confused. And sometimes I think even the instructor wasn't completely clear on it. So that has been a complete muddle to me. So I understand your question too, because it's been the same question I have. And as you know, I'm not like super experienced at this. I really have only been actively trading for a couple of months here. So that is a question I've also had. And I honestly don't know. I know, like, okay, let me go ahead and place my orders. And I think it says limit when I put it in. Let's just go ahead and go through it and we'll see. Whenever I get all my zones done, which I did my 12-month, my monthly, and my weekly zones, I'm going to put a buy order right here, which I'm clicking on that little plus sign right there in the gray. So I go to this area where there's an overlap right at the beginning of that monthly and weekly floor. And I'm going to enter in a very small order. And I bring it up to the point where it's 1 cent per pip exactly, just so I can easily look on my phone and see, okay, if it's 5 cents up, then it's 5 pips up. On these, I don't bother putting stop loss or profit because these are tiny. These are, again, 1 cent. I mean, even if this thing went down 3,000 pips, that's what, $30 or something. I don't worry about it. I'm only putting this in as a notification tool. The reason I do this is because this tells me when this hits, I'll get a notification on my phone that will tell me I'm in this trade. I go pull it up and I see it's only 60 units. Then I know exactly what it is. That means that that pair just hit an area that I can go get into a trade. Now, ideally, I'll still go look at the chart and make sure I have some profit potential. What do I mean by that? Well, you can see here there's some ceilings really close to floors here. That means there's not a lot of room here for price to go. Now, if it was to come down to this place, that gives you a little bit more room before you come to this first strong ceiling. But even then, that's not ideal. I mean, I would still take that trade if that was the next ceiling, but just know there's better trades out there where you can have more air, is what I call it. You know, you like this blank space, right? This white area. That's profit right there. That's what you want to see, is lots of white area. So ideally I would go and look at my chart and see how much profit potential I have before I get in the trade. But honestly, I don't do that as often as I should. If I'm out and about, I just usually jump in the trade. If I am at my computer, I'll take a look at it. But more often than not, I just jump in and figure it out later. That's how I operate. All right, so here it says buy limit. So what that means exactly, I don't know. I mean, I'm being completely honest. I don't know. I don't know why it says that. I'm assuming what it means is when price gets down there, it'll hit. But why it says limit, I don't know. I can't. But I'm sure there's a zillion YouTube videos about it. Okay, up here we have all of our ceilings. And again, I'm not interested in any of this down here, these brown areas that don't have any blue. I don't operate in that. Now, again, I told you earlier strategy you could take if you want to. You can do that. Price is not going to get through all of this very easily. So you certainly could find areas there in which price will turn. But I have enough pairs trigger every day to make me a lot of money only using monthly zones. So I just keep it to that. I like having those really, really strong reinforced zones. So I'm going to put a sell order this time right before that area where the monthly starts. Again, I'm just looking for the lowest amount of units where I can get 1 cent per pip. And in this case, I don't even bother with a profit or a stop loss because this is just simply a notification tool for me. This is not a real position. Okay, so every pair, this is what I do. Literally every pair on this list on the right, I'm doing the same exact thing. And the first time you do it, it takes forever. Once you have all of this set up, then it's a lot easier because the blue zones, the monthly ones, you only have to update once a month, weekly once a week. Your annual ones, you only have to do once a year. I was doing daily, and then last night I told you guys I think I'm just going to stop doing dailies. Now I think what I'll do is once I'm in this notification trade, what I should do, I probably won't all the time because I know myself, but ideally what I would do is when one of these little notification trades triggers, I would go to that chart and go ahead and draw the daily zones so I can see, because daily zones are going to affect your profit potential. If there's a daily zone, let's say this buy limit order triggered and there was a daily zone right above it. Oh, come on, this thing's being so laggy. Come on. I think I'm going to have to get a beefier computer. I seem to be overloading it. Come on. Of course, right now I have Excel going, I have Awanda going, I have Zoom going with the webinar, I have the internet with several web pages up. I think I'm overloading it. All right, here we go. So my daily zones, I always do in orange. And then I'll do a border of red since I'm pretending that there's a ceiling right here. If you got a daily ceiling right there and this buy order triggered, okay, how much profit potential is that? I mean, that's, let's see, how many pips? 27 pips about. So, I mean, you can make some money on 27 pips, but just be aware. You remember, I keep showing you guys the bouncy ball, the game that chips away the bricks, and it keeps bouncing up and bouncing up. That's what it's going to do for a while until it gets through that daily zone, because daily zones are pretty strong. So unless it has some momentum, like news today, that's going to bash through even those monthly, weekly reinforced zones we saw today. So there, if you have enough momentum, it'll cut through it like butter. But with just the normal everyday amount of momentum, it's gonna have trouble getting through that. It's probably gonna have to try to 2 or 3 times before it gets through that. So just be aware of that. So that's why I'm saying when I get into these notification trades, it's my goal to go draw my daily zones and see, okay, how far away are they from where my entry is? All right. Does that make sense? Any questions about anything I just went over? Was that helpful to go slower? I hope I went slower. Let me know if I need to explain anything differently or more slowly. Okay, good. Excuse me. I'm getting over a cold. All right, let's do the daily review. Let's talk about this roller coaster that was today. If any of you aren't in Discord, that is where we do our live trading. In Discord, it's free. The link to it is on their website, or on their Facebook page. Right here, this is our Facebook page, my Facebook page. I'm always posting in the Facebook page our nightly sessions, which I don't know that I'm going to do them every night, but I'll do them as much as I can. My throat's getting scratchy now. But I also have in here, here's the link to the Discord. So if anybody wants to get in the Discord, there's the link. And I wanted to show that link in case it's not close to the top and somebody's watching this back later. That's how you get in, right there. It's open to everyone. It's free. Once you're in there, you'll see over here on the left, there's different channels. The trading room channel is where I'm posting live trades. As much as I can, when I get in and out of trades, I'm posting it there. And I try to put screenshots in there to show you guys why I'm doing what I'm doing. We also have just a general channel for anything. I have a resource channel. In this resource channel, there again is the Discord link if you ever want to invite anyone. We also have a link to the Facebook page. We have a link to that spreadsheet I was showing you earlier if you want to calculate, whatever your account size is, what your daily percentage is, and see, hey, what would it be after a year? That was this one I showed you earlier with, which I think the one on there doesn't, I added this section with the log. The one that's on there only has this, I believe, this left side. So, and also, by the way, in case you don't know Excel, I have a bunch of rows hidden here. You see how it jumps from 32 to 270? This whole thing is 264 days of trading, which is what I calculated to be the number of trading days I had from the time I started. I wanted to know how many trading days were in the year from the day I started, which was like sometime 2 weeks ago or so that I started logging this. So these are hidden just so you don't have to keep scrolling, which actually I need to hide some more of these because you still have to scroll. So it's kind of, but the point is it doesn't just all of a sudden your daily goal jumps from $22 to 770. That's after you've done it for 264 days. So I was showing earlier on my husband's, even though he only did 1.47%, if your goal was 1.47%, that's still $52,000 for the year. So if you wanted to get in and do this, put in however much money you're going to put in your account, put in whatever your daily goal is, and see what does that work out to be after a year. And if you want to go even further than a year, you could put that total up here, 52,02958. What would it be in year 2 if you didn't touch it for 2 years? That's doing 1.5%, 1.47%. With $1,000 that you don't touch for 2 years and you don't add to it. Could you use an extra $2 million? I think so. So anyway, if you want to have access to that spreadsheet, that is in the resource channel of the Discord. And then Evan posted some information here too. So if you guys ever come up with, here it was just a website that he had found that he thought was useful. So if you guys ever see anything that might be useful to people, throw it up on the resource channel. And then I also have the results channel, which I showed you guys earlier, which has I always post or try to always post my results for the day so you guys can see. And now I've started posting my husband's results too. So you guys don't get discouraged. Again, the only reason I have the account size I have is because we happen to sell our house and we have this about 3 month period before our house is built that I get to play with that money. So my goal is to try to pay for our house in cash. We'll see if I get there. You guys can watch this journey with me, and that's what I'm hoping for. And then I am getting a car. Today, I was so frustrated with my car. The door doesn't open anymore. I can't open my driver's side door, so I have to crawl in from the passenger side to. And this is not just a minivan either. This is what my best friend calls a church van. It is a 10-passenger van, so it's not easy to like crawl in and out of this thing. So I cannot wait to get a car, but I'm gonna wait until we get the house paid for. So that's on my wish list. It's my why. It's motivating me. Having a working door on a car with a working door. All right, I'm gonna go to the trading room. You guys know by now I operate from 5 p.m. to 5 p.m. That's my day, what I consider my day. So my day's already over. It was over 4 hours ago. So I'm already on a new log. So I'm going to scroll up until I get to 5 p.m. last night, and let's just walk through the day, see what went right, which was all morning long. It was going awesome, man. I was just like so excited until the boom happened. We had a lot of activity on here today. I should have scrolled up and had all this ready to go before I got on here, but oh well. All right, so yesterday, here we are at 5:45 p.m. I'm talking about this Euro Turkey, what is it again, Derek? The lira? I'm trying to remember these currencies. I'm talking about lira. Is that how you pronounce it, lira? My husband says yes. All right, so I'm talking about the fact that I got out of this pair earlier when I was about to fly out. And this is when we were traveling. Price just reached a 30-minute turquoise zone. You can see that right there is what I'm talking about. So I raised my position size by 100,000 units. Now I'm in a short here. So why would I get in this position when it comes up? Because I'm Lindsay, and that's what I do. I do not like I don't like selling when it's had a big drop. I like selling when it's had a pullback back up. So if I'm in a short, which means I'm selling first and buying later at a lower price, and I'm hoping it goes down, then I'm going to wait until this pullback happens, which is what happened here. You see red candle. Let me pull this up bigger. See a red candle, red candles, red candles, red candles, and all of a sudden, this thing pulls up into this blue area, which is a ceiling. That's when I'm getting back in and increasing my size. I didn't get completely out, but I got mostly out, and I was waiting for a pullback up to increase my position size again. Now, Jason was pointing out, and he's pointed this out to me a few times, about spread. Every time you get into a trade, you're paying spread. See it as like commission. Okay, so I'm going to spend more on spread because I'm constantly in and out. And this is probably part of the reason why my husband outperforms me because he pays hardly any spread, right? He only did one trade. That's probably part of the reason. But I think for me psychologically, even though I know I'm paying more commission, I want to see progress. And maybe I'll get over that and just be willing to just sit back and go through those ebb and flows. But right now, I really want the psychological victory of constantly seeing that cash come in at every pullback. And I don't know that I'll always trade that way, but that's what I've been trying out, and it's been working really well. I think I probably could increase my profit, increase my percentage if I didn't do it, but I don't think I'd have as much fun. I don't really enjoy just waiting for these movements to completely come to a close. Like to me, that just seems kind of boring. Like you're just kind of just waiting around for it to finally get to this place somewhere, 8 hours, 12 hours later to where you want it to go. It just doesn't seem as fun to me. But maybe I'll eventually get to a place where this doesn't have the excitement factor that it has right now. I don't know. So I really am kind of just playing with things, adjusting things. There's a lot of ways you can adjust these strategies. And basically the cornerstone of what I'm showing you is here is a zone that price is not going to get through unless something major like today happened, which doesn't happen that often. This is the very first time I have seen a news move slice through a zone that was not only a monthly but a weekly. I've gotten through a lot of news moves, but I've never had one stop me out like that, except for that one New Zealand yen trade. But that was because I didn't take the whole zone. That was before I was taking the entire zone. So since I've taken the whole entire length of daily, weekly ceilings or floors, I have not seen a news move slice through it like today. So it takes a pretty significant news event to get through something like that. So if you have an area that it's just kind of a once every few month event to get through it, there are so many things you could do with that knowledge. Just having that knowledge right there, if that's all you take from it, trade how you want from there. I mean, just take that piece. Okay, I know price is not getting through this area. Now, what are you going to do with that information? You don't have to do it the way I do it. So, what I'm telling you here basically is I took out some profit down here somewhere. It pulled back up here to this blue area, and now I'm increasing my position size again so I can write it down some more. And I'm just constantly doing that. Am I spending more in commission and in spread? Yes, I am. But this is more fun for me. I like seeing that constant profit stream come in. Psychologically, I don't know, it's just more fun. And you can see here, or here yesterday, look at that. I was constantly just pulling money out as I went. Take it or leave it. Not advising, just telling you what I do. All right, then I'm talking about the Euro Aussie. I closed 100% of my position out because price is falling into a very strong floor. I have new sell orders ready to increase my position size before every 3-hour pink ceiling on the way back up. So I shorted this sucker all the way out from this zone, this very highly reinforced ceiling up here. And we traded this. I mean, we were talking about this pair for a while. We traded this for 2 or 3 days. But I had sell orders waiting up here in case it came back up and might go down. I ended up opting to remove those because I decided I don't want to be this low on some people call it curve. I don't want to be this low on the curve doing a short because it's going to ricochet off this very strong zone here and probably go up for a while. So it almost would be smarter to get into a long here and go that route. So I just decided this is getting too far away from my bread and butter, which is my monthly and weekly zones. So I ended up closing those out and just opting to pick trades where I could stay in my playing field, the areas I like. So I just wanted to tell you, I don't think I put any of that update in here. So I'm still talking about the Euro Aussie. That's the same one there, giving suggestions. All right, here's this one that I got in by accident, the wrong direction, which actually that was, let's see, that was one that I got stopped out of. Yeah. Okay, so if I hadn't gotten in this the wrong direction by accident, this is why it's so important to push the right button. To make sure you don't push buy instead of sell or sell instead of buy, because that's what happened to me here. And look how much that cost me, $1,100. That's sick. That was such a stupid mistake. So be careful on that. Which I'm realizing some of these we already went over last night. So let me skip forward because I don't think I actually got into any new trades until this is 4 a.m. So here we are. This is the dollar Swiss. I entered a small long order of 50,000. Okay, that's small for me. 50,000 units. I'm not really loving this setup because it's only about 15 pips away from a daily orange slash 3-hour pink ceiling. So this is kind of what I was talking about earlier with the ball. Right here, like it's coming out of this heavily reinforced floor, but not that far away, you've got this pink 3-hour ceiling followed by a daily ceiling, which is a pretty strong zone right there. So I measured it, and apparently I'm saying it's, what, 15? Yeah, 15 pips. Which you can make money on 15 pips, especially if you got a big position size. But I only put 50,000 units where normally I would, minimum I would put in is 100,000. But because that's such a small amount of profit, that ball is just going to be having to hit this all for a while before it's going to break through it. Now, once it breaks through that, look at that. Once it breaks through that area, there is nothing but air. So, this would be one to watch. It's probably going to bounce off this for a little while, maybe a day or two. But once it gets through that, that's a great area to jump in and, take that as far as it'll go, because that right there is profit. All right, so continuing on. And it was kind of slow this morning. I really didn't think I was going to make any money today at first. It was a while before things got moving, but man, once they got moving, it was a wild ride. All right, dollar Swiss. Price hit a 3-hour pink floor within a daily floor. I went ahead and doubled my position size to 100,000 units. I'm still hoping it drops some more. Now, who hopes that price goes in the opposite direction? Me. So what I'm saying here is I'm in a long, which means I want it to go up ultimately. But I'm hoping it goes down first. So as that sucker went down, if it did, I don't even remember at this point. This was at 4 o'clock this morning. But the idea is as this goes down, I'm increasing my position size in anticipation that somewhere, and you can't see it on this chart, and the people were complaining on Discord about this today, with a Wanda, if you're in lower time frames, it doesn't show you those high time frame zones. So in here, there is a monthly, weekly zone. You just can't see it on this because this is a 3-hour chart, and it won't show you those higher time frame ones. So this is a very strong reinforced floor that is quadrupled layered with reinforcement. So I am completely confident price is not getting through that floor. So I want it to go as deep into that floor as possible, because the lower it goes down, especially if it goes down fast, the more profit potential there is on the way up. So I was actually saying I want this to go against me. I got into a position here with 100,000, but I want it to keep going into that zone. So I'm a person that actually likes to see those negative numbers. I feel completely confident in my zones until today with this tariff stuff. But that only happens, maybe once every few months, some news event like that happens. So, you know what? I still made money today despite all of that. I can live through that. I still feel confident with my zones. All right, dollar Swiss. A huge 30-minute ceiling was created on the current price candle. So price will probably have trouble getting out of the daily floor. Price will probably base, which means to go sideways for a while, because it doesn't seem, I think is what I'm trying to say, to have much momentum. So is that a ceiling I said? Yeah, okay. So this was a problem. All of a sudden, this is a 30-minute chart, and this 30-minute candle formed this huge ceiling right on top of a daily floor. So it's literally overlapping there. So how much profit potential do we have there? Zilch, right? Until it breaks through that, which 30-minute zones are not all that difficult to break through. But what I'm saying here is just be prepared. It's just going to bounce sideways for a while until it breaks through that. All right. Dollar Swiss. This pair is boring. It's moving slow as Christmas. So I was actually trying to watch it. I'm tired of watching it. I set a sell order, profit target, and I give you the area to cash out 80% of my position. I put a buy order, I give you the area in case it goes down further. So here again, whichever way it goes, I'm ready. If it goes up to this pink 3-hour zone, I'm ready to pull 80% of my position out and take some money. If it goes down, which I'm actually hoping it does, it's going to snatch up this buy order that I have sitting here and increase my position size, which then gives me more profit potential because now it's got further to go up. Now I'm back on the Euro Aussie. I think I forgot to post that I got out of this short position. Price went almost exactly where I predicted and it grabbed my profit. I made $67. I'm not really interested in this pair anymore unless it climbs back up into the monthly blue ceiling. And I showed you that other chart of this earlier where I said, initially I was going to kind of play with it here, but then I thought, no, it's getting too far away from my bread and butter here. I mean, this is where I operate, where there is these strong blue on top of brown and even on top of orange. Like this is what I like to see, and it's getting too far away. Like this red line is current price. It's too far away now. So I opted to just get out of that position. It probably did continue to drop, but it was just too far away for my comfort. I like to stay close to these zones. Euro dollar. My profit target just triggered on this pair, which was near that 3-hour ceiling that price is approaching now. I made $339 on that move. So I had just pulled out some profit here, and this is what I'm talking about, how I'm constantly pulling out and getting back in and pulling out and getting back in. So when I say profit target, that means I pulled out of part of my position and took some cash out. So what happened? I'm in long here, and you can tell I'm in a long because of these blue boxes. This right here, that's showing me my current profit, which I can't even read that, it's blurry, 200 and something dollars. So I didn't pull completely out of this position. I'm still in it, but I must have had a lot more, and I cashed out. And I usually cash out about 80% when I pull profit out. So here I'm coming from this area. I got in somewhere over here, probably right where that starts, because that's usually where I set my entries, right at the beginning of those zones. So that's probably where I got in. It's coming up. I'm in a long. I want price to go up. So I'm buying first and selling later. I predicted price would get up to this area because this is a 3-hour zone right here. So I had a order ready right at this point where this pink zone starts. I had an order ready that would trigger 80% of my position to cash out. And sure enough, it came up to that position, started going down, which it doesn't take a whole lot coming off of this huge floor. That's huge momentum right there, right? It's going to have a lot of momentum coming out of that zone. So it will get through that, but I know it's going to come back down before it goes back up and does that. So I'm going to go ahead and take some profit, let it pull back, and then come back again. And when it pulls back, I'm going to increase my position size again. And I have one even down here. You can see a buy limit sitting way down here in case it like really pulls back, which I'd be happy about because I can take this right again. Right now that wasn't a huge move going from here to here, but if it came down here and went up to there, that's a lot more profit to be made. So I'm all about getting deeper in those zones. It does not scare me when price moves against me. This is a good thing, and I'm increasing my position size exponentially as it's moving against me. All right, Aussie dollar, the monthly blue floor. I think someone had asked me. Yeah, okay. Someone was asking my opinion about this one, so I don't think I was actually in this trade. I was just sharing my chart. Aussie dollar, the ball, which is the price. And I showed you guys this video a few times now, right? The brick breaker ball game where the ball is bouncing from the little bar up and it's chipping away those bricks. That's what I'm talking about when I say the ball. It's just bouncing back and forth between the weekly brown ceiling and floor. And then immediately I'm like, whoa, 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 wait a minute. I need to update my weekly floors. I think there's a huge one that just formed. This is important. And Lindsay, it would have been a good idea if you had updated your zones before you got in the trade. But Lindsay doesn't listen sometimes. All right, Aussie dollar. Yeah, LOL. I would strongly suggest not doing that. So what happened? So I had to update my chart and update my zones, and this didn't look very good when I was done, right? Look at what's going on there. There's no profit potential here. I mean, there's just hardly anything. I mean, and these are two strong zones too, right? If this one up here was like a 30-minute zone, then okay, it's ricocheting off of a huge reinforced floor here. But this is also a strong zone. This is rebar reinforced concrete here. And you can see, what is price doing? You see all these wicks? Like, if I hadn't just jumped in this trade, if I had actually looked at this chart, I wouldn't even be in this trade. Because look at this. This is just wicky. Why is it wicky? Because that ball is just bouncing back and forth and it's not really getting anywhere. It's just going sideways. So this is not pretty to me. I want to see lots of air. Lots of air. That's where the profit is. A huge weekly brown floor just formed with the current price rally. So that must have been that right there. All right, Euro Turkey, the lira. I just jumped into a short with 3,000 units. So it's all the way up here. And look at down here. What's down there? Nothing but air. This is amazing. When you see this, pull all the capital you can. Now you can't see it because again, this is a 3-hour zone. I mean a 3-hour time frame. So you can't see all the zones that are up here because it looks like there's no ceilings up here really, but there is. If you were to put this on a weekly chart, you would see that there's a monthly zone up here, there's a weekly zone up here, there's a daily one right there, that orange one. You just can't see it because for whatever reason, Awana doesn't show those in the lower time frame. So there's all this reinforcement of ceiling up here. And what's underneath it? Huge amount of empty space. That right there is a perfect setup. Profit potential, nothing but air. There's not even a 30-minute floor to stop you for quite a ways. Now, what eventually screwed me up, and we'll see more screenshots as price works its way down, but what eventually screwed me up and messed me up on this one right here. This was the last trade I took on this pair, which worked way against me. What messed me up right there, whoops, wrong thing, was this wick. See these wicks behind the wall right here? I neglected on that last trade. I was still, I think I had my wall like over here. I was zoomed in too much. Now, and that was stupid because I know better. I know I got to look over here too and see what's going on over here. But stupidly, I was too excited because I was making so much money on this. I was anxious to go down again. So I got a little too anxious there, and I didn't take the time to look and see where these are. In fact, now that I'm saying that, I'm thinking I need to mark this in some way, maybe a line, like do a horizontal line there, like don't go past this point. At least see what price does. Wait for it to get through that and see if it's still going to continue to go down or if it's going to react to it. So I may start doing that where I just put some sort of line right there so I know this is the point when the wicks start. Because that is what cost me $2,700 today. And if I had taken the time to look at that, I would have hesitated before getting in that trade and at least waited to see what it did. Or if I was getting bored of watching it, I would have at least lowered my position size because I would have known price is probably going to react to that. So that is what messed me up and cost me $2,700 today. But at this point, where we are now, that's a beautiful setup. That is what you want to see. So I was so excited about this. Waiting for price to get below the 30-minute floor, and then what is under it? Nothing. So I was waiting for it to break that 30-minute floor right there. Once that was broken, look at that. Just solid air. Nothing to stop price from plummeting. So here I am. I'm still talking about the same one. I'm already in. Probably didn't pick the most opportune time. I got tired of watching candles. It's like watching paint dry. It's boring. And like even though I probably cost myself a lot of money by not waiting for the best time to get in, I don't care. If this isn't fun, I'm not going to want to do it. So I like to keep it fun. Even if I am not making the most optimal amount of profit, I want this to be fun. So if I'm just sitting there stressing about making sure I get in at the perfect time, that is not fun for me. So anyway, I'm pointing out I probably didn't get it at the most opportune time. So if you guys are like following what I do, don't think that, oh, just because Lindsay jumped in, this is the time to get in. It's probably not. It's probably not. I tell you what I do, that does not mean anything. In fact, there's been trades I've gotten in at like the absolute worst time. Now, it usually eventually works out in my favor because I'll hold on to it until it's profitable. But in fact, that example is that Aussie, no, the Euro Aussie. You know, that one that we traded for 2 or 3 days. And remember, I put all my capital into that sucker way too early. And then we had those Trump tweets happen and it rallied even more. And I had no capital left to get in at the peak of that. Now, I ended up making a ton of money on that trade still. But had I not been so ambitious and kept some capital back for that peak, I could have made so much more money on that. So I just tell you this to say, if you see me jumping into something, that does not mean anything. It probably just means I'm tired of watching it or it triggered on my phone and I'm not even looking at it. So just take it for what it's worth. All right, Euro Turkey, the still same one. Sure enough, it hit that 3-hour ceiling. It started going back down. I threw another 70,000 units at it. I'm out of capital now until something gets profitable. So this is just me doing the same thing I was talking about. Whenever it goes in my direction, I cash out. Whenever it pulls back, I get back in. All right, here we go. Price maybe keep. No, this isn't where it happened. I'm now I'm showing a close up of this. all that air is down here, right? I'm waiting for it to break all of that. Price may keep going up for a little while. There's a big 30-minute floor forming on that last candle. Okay, maybe not. Price just sliced through it, like half that 30-minute floor, so it went through it pretty quickly. Price is showing signs of a downward pressure. It's chipping away that 30-minute floor, but then it continued with a 3-hour peak floor under that. So it still has quite a bit to get through before there's all that air. Once price clears those floors, this trade is going to be amazing. And it was until I got stopped out of it. Right? That happened today, but this was actually, I think I might have these oh, here it is. Okay, I was going to say no, this was today. Okay. Let me sort this by pair so we can get that together. In fact, you know how I was showing you that I was still profitable on that pair even with that stop? I wasn't even including this because I didn't see that I needed to scroll up. So I made $3,000 yesterday trading that. Today, I continued to trade that same pair. Even with the stop loss that happened of $2,700, I still came ahead with $760, if you see that there at the bottom. So if I had been smart and looked at the wicks behind the wall and not gotten stopped out, I would have been up another $3,400 on trading just that pair. That means I would have been up $6,400 just trading that one pair, that Euro Turkey, Lira, whatever it is. So that's what I was waiting for, though. I was waiting for it to get through all this noise so that it could get down to that air. All right, showing a chart, just interacting with people. We're talking about the Euro Aussie. I talked about I might actually get in a short on this one. I don't usually trade this far away from my monthly ceilings and floors, but I'm seeing a lot more ceilings than floors and nothing but air. So I'm seeing, even though this is too far away from my monthly, weekly playing field that I like, when Derek pointed this one out, I think it was Derek, I was looking at it and I'm like, you know what? I see a 3-hour floor. I don't know which, I think that's a 30-minute maybe, but it looks too dark. Let me see. Let me pull this up. That's actually a monthly zone, but I wonder if my color is wrong because monthly zones are not usually that small. And then you've got what? 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm like, you know what? I see lots of air down here, which is all profit. That is what you want to see right there. Nothing but air. But up here you have all these ceilings. So I was considering going to short, and actually I don't even remember. Okay, yeah, I did. All right, I threw, which for me is a pretty small position, 24,000 into a short. I have our leaning capital available right now, so that's all I could do. Price may climb up to that 3-hour peak / 30-minute turquoise ceiling before it starts going back down again. So I'm saying it may climb all the way back up here before it starts going down again. The euro dollar. I wish I had some capital to throw at this. Look at those floors. Look at that. Look at, there is no way. I bet we should look at this. I bet even Trump's announcement today with all the tariff stuff, I don't even think that probably got through that. In fact, isn't this the one, I think I made good money. I think this is the one I did do well at when the news came. Yeah. Okay. There you go. The one that did not stop me out with the news was that one. So even that huge news could not get through that. So that is, I mean, more than half of the chart is just floors. Weekly floors, daily floors, monthly floors. Like, there is no way, even today, it couldn't get through that. So this is the one trade where I actually did well when the news came out. And this is also an example of where if I had been home, I could have benefited from it more. Because I was going to my client's office today, I set a target to cash out my position when it got to a certain point. And I think it was like my usual 80%. So if I had actually been watching this, I would have just let that sucker go as high as it wanted before I cashed out. So that is an example of why did this have to happen in like the 3 or 4 hour time period that I wasn't home to manage this, because my losses would have been so much less if I had been able to do so. So, oh well. Here nor there. Not gonna cry about spilt milk. I still made 1.5% or whatever, so not gonna whine about it. All right. I think we're still just discussing stuff. Ooh, here it is. When it broke through. Look how excited I am. I was waiting with a bated breath for it to break through those floors. And once it did, it was beautiful until that last one. That right there is what happened after it broke those floors. So I was ready and waiting. This one I actually was watching. I don't like watching candle forms, but I wanted to be ready the second that sucker broke out. I was so excited to see when that broke out, to get into all this air and just trade that all the way down. Momentum is shifting up temporarily, so I pulled out part of my position to lock in some profit, made 700 bucks almost on that move. Gonna increase my position again when it rallies. Increased again by 300,000. Just pulled out. This thing moved fast. This was fast, 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 fast. Got 800 on that move, waiting for another rally to increase size again. Increased another 300,000. Got to move fast on this pair. It's moving fast. Now, Jason was pointing out that the spread on this pair is huge. So we were talking about this earlier. So this may be a pair that you have to have a pretty big position size to trade, because he was saying it wasn't worth it to him to take a $200 spread when he was only trading $10 a pip, which makes sense. Because if you're only gaining $10 a pip, there's no point in paying a $200 spread. And I think a lot of these exotic currencies are like that, and that's probably why a lot of people don't trade them. Obviously, my position size is big enough that I can take these huge position sizes of 300,000 or whatever, so I can quickly recover that spread. And you guys that have been practicing a while, you'll notice as soon as you get into a trade, immediately you're in the negative. I don't know if you guys noticed that or not. I was trying to think if I'm in one right now that I just got in. Maybe I could show you, but I don't think I did. So just know that, and you that have been practicing, you see that. Like as soon as you enter a trade, instantly it's worked against you. That's the spread. So you have to make up the difference between where it drops down. Like if you're going long, it's going to drop down. So you have to make up the difference between where it dropped down to and current price just to get to zero. That's your spread. So when he's talking about it's not worth it to take a $200 spread, because if he's only trading $10 per pip, it's going to take a lot. He's going to have to go a long way before he even makes up that $200. So for him, he is saying it's not worth it. How are you even trading that? But I think the answer to that question is I'm trading in really big position sizes. I don't have to hardly move at all to make up that $200. So this may be one of those things that you have to work your way up to this point with some of these pairs. But you can get there, and it doesn't take long. Remember, all about percentages, right? starting with $1,000. Even start lower than that if you want. Go download the spreadsheet, right? After 1 year, look at that. You've got a big enough position size that you can start trading this stuff. By the way, you don't have to trade these pairs to make money. There's been plenty of days I haven't traded exotic pairs and made plenty of money. And look at my husband. Again, I keep emphasizing this. Did one pair. That's all he did. One trade, one pair, and he outperformed me percentage-wise. So he said, "You're welcome." So don't worry about it if you can't trade these right now. It's okay. It's not a big deal. You can still make money, and eventually you can work your way to doing those. And sometimes they bite you in the butt, as we saw today. Now I still didn't negate all the profit I made from it, but I think there's reasons why people tend to stay away from these exotic pairs. They're volatile, they're expensive. So you just have to determine, is it my trading style? Now you guys know me by now. I am willing to take risks for reward. Not a problem for me. All right, telling you again, I pulled out 400,000 units after the last fall, made $335 on that move. Then I'm telling you later, I'm increasing my position size again. All right, here I'm telling you I just got a phone notification that my tiny long order triggered. So I'm talking about that little like 50 or 60 unit order that I always put in place just to get a phone notification. That's what I'm talking about there. So my long order, that means wherever the floors were both monthly and weekly together, overlapped, I set those little tiny orders to trigger when price gets to that point. Going to check out the chart. So hey, I'm actually taking the smart move here. Then once I see it, look at those floors. Look how reinforced that is. You have red, which is a 12-month zone. You have blue several times here. That is a monthly zone. You have brown several times here. That is weekly. There's a reason why I am excited about this. Price is not going to get through that. I bet even the news today didn't get through that. That is a heavily reinforced zone. And there's quite a bit of profit potential here. I mean, it's got quite a bit of white space before you get to anything. It could be better, but that's pretty good. And this is another reason why I like it to go deep in that zone, because if it gets deep in the zone, that's more profit potential to get all the way back up there. So I like when it's working against me, because that's all the more better to get more on the way up. I wish I could dump more money to this. So I was out of capital at that point, so I couldn't put much into that. And how much do I wish I had actually done this? I was tempted to do it, and I should have, because I later got stopped out of this. I'm tempted to take a loss on the dollar check so I can clear up capital for the Aussie CAD. Oh my gosh. If I could just go back in time, whatever time this was, 8:43 a.m. and say, yes, Lindsay, do it. First of all, I would have taken a smaller loss than I did because I wouldn't have gotten stopped out, and I would have made more money on this. So yeah, I so wish I had done that, but I just could not stomach that loss right there. I just couldn't. I'm like, nope, I'm just going to feel confident in my zone and wait till it turns around. And then, of course, this had to be the day that the tariff news comes out while I'm at the office. It was all very bad, but that's okay. We still came out ahead at the end of the day. Aussie CAD. Still watching to see if it drops lower. So I'm still hoping it works against me and goes lower into that zone. There's only about 53 pips of profit, and I'm showing the measurement tool there, which is measuring that. So that's one thing, is I really want more profit potential. There's about 53 pips until it hits that orange zone. So it would be ideal if it went further into the first floor. Aussie CAD, it's a strong floor. It even has a 12-month floor in there. So that was a strong reinforced floor. So hey, I'll trade that all day on 53 pips. All right, Euro Aussie triggered my phone too, but I missed it. It's falling so fast, it's about to hit a floor already. So that one had so much momentum, I didn't catch it in time to take advantage of that. By the time I looked at it, it was already close to a floor in an area where it'd be time to pull out some profit. So that moved too fast for me. I just didn't even go there. And then I'm saying there must be some kind of Aussie news because all the Aussie pairs were going crazy. Aussie CAD. I cleared out some capital and jumped into Aussie CAD along with 40,000 units. Price is already rallying. I'm watching around this area where those wicks behind the wall start. If only I had remembered later to look for the wicks behind the wall. Unless it has enough momentum, price will probably start stalling in that area. So, I know this concept. I'm actually explaining the concept, but later, when I got into that Euro Turkey trade, I allowed myself to lose $2,700 because I did not pay attention to the wicks behind the wall. All right, so let's see what else I had going on. All right, I'm getting excited again about that Euro Lira. I think I'm saying it right, Lira. Look, it's breaking through. Now it's rallying a little bit, but I'm just anticipating that next move down, which did end up being a very sweet move. Now, here is my mistake. You can see it right here. I did not have anything on my chart in my monitor that showed left of this candle, and that's where I got in trouble. I was zoomed in too much and I was not looking left to see what was going on to the left. That's how I lost $2,700. I didn't look left of the candle. I would not have taken that last trade, or I would have waited to take it or positioned it smaller if I had paid attention to what was left of that candle. So this was not good for me to zoom in this much and not be able to see anything over there. I'm waiting for it to break into air. Euro Lira. Even on a 5-minute chart, there are no floors. Why is that relevant that it's a 5-minute chart? Because, okay, you might see an area like this that's straight down with no floors on a high time frame, right? Like you go to maybe a monthly chart or an annual chart, and those candles go for a really long time. They're huge, right? It's not uncommon to see a really huge candle that goes a long way because that's a whole month or a whole year of price action. It goes forever. But you go down to a 5-minute chart, to find something like this that just goes straight with no floors, no ceilings, just nothing, no support, no resistance at that low of a time frame, that thing is gonna fly because there's just nothing holding it. So I was excited about this. You can see I am chomping at the bit to trade this. Euro Aussie. Price is going deeper into that big floor. I'm looking for a good place to increase my position size. It's going deeper against me, by the way. This is a losing trade. You can see in the red, I am losing money as it gets deeper in the zone, but I'm ready. I already have another buy order right here. I am hoping it goes to that level. I want it to go down there because that gives me more room on this move up to make profit. If it just turns around right here, that's not going to make me as much on the way up as if it comes down here and then goes up. So I am just fine for it continuing to work against me. I'm going to make my position size exponentially bigger and make more money in the end. Euro dollar. Increased my long position by 40,000 units out of capital again. On the plus side, here's these checks. Might actually turn to profit. Now, here's another instance where I want to go back in time. When was this? This was almost 10 o'clock. These actually almost got, and these are the ones that I got in the wrong way. I went long instead of short. They actually almost got profitable. It was like about to break. I think it was maybe like 100, maybe 200 down. So I still didn't want to cash out yet. But oh my gosh, how much I wish I would have. Because that ended up being as high as it went. And then we all know the end of this story, right? Yeah, look what happened. I ended up taking a $1,300 loss on the euro check. I ended up taking a $1,300 loss on the dollar check. So yeah, if I had just right there before it started turning, even though it was a loss, I wish I would have, but oh well, it's not my style. All right, here we are talking about the euro dollar. It's still going deeper into the floor, so it's continuing to get there. I'll keep adding to my position as long as it works against me and I have the capital to do it. And then I'm saying the exact area that I have a buy order in case it keeps dropping. Here we go. Finally, this thing catches fire. Now here you can see the wicks, right? So I zoomed out again. You see those wicks right there. That is the area where it started having problems. But here we are, ready to go down. $650 in counting. $1,300 in counting. $1,800 in counting. Now these moves I'm pulling out every time because this thing was volatile. I mean, it was constantly up and down. Like every time it would, and we're talking seconds. Like it would rally and then drop down and rally. And I was trying to like catch these moves that are seconds apart and cash out as I went. And that's where all this came in. Right? Which a lot of these, I mean, I did very well on a lot of those until the end. So then it started basing a little bit. It showed some signs of resistance. So I pulled out, locked in $1,100 of profit. I still had some in. It's rallying, looking for a spot to increase size again. This was my fatal error right here. Right there. Do you see this? Look at that. If I hadn't gotten into the last trade, look where it started having problems. That's the wicks behind the wall right there. That's what I'm talking about when I say look left. Look at those wicks behind the wall. They do cause problems. So if and I clearly had it on my screen, I posted a screenshot of it. So I think I just got too excited because of all the money I was making. I jumped in feet first. I took that last trade, and that was a mistake because that's cost me $2,700. And then look at this. I immediately catch my mistake. As soon as I'm already in, I was pulled that trigger, and then I realized my mistake. I didn't see those wicks behind the wall. As soon as I get into profit again, I'm going to close out. Well, that never happened, obviously. What happened instead? This right here. Lost $2,700. Thanks to that big announcement today. Stupid wicks behind the wall. Yeah, and I didn't even know how bad that mistake was going to be yet. All right, I'm putting my goal there. It's my best friend right now. Oh yeah, it was my best friend until afternoon hit. Euro dollar, increasing my long position since I have some capital. Euro Swiss, closing my long position. The remaining 20,000 I had in there. Price is now in a daily orange ceiling. I have a new tiny buy order ready. I'm telling the place. So I got out of this position because it was hitting this orange ceiling. So I got out and I had a buy order ready right here, which is just my little notification order of 50 units or whatever, so that whenever it came back down, I'd get a notification and could get back in. Here we are, and the Euro Aussie about to drop into air. So I'm getting excited because I see all this air and it's finally getting down to that area. I might get back in this now. It's probably going to be slow for the rest of the afternoon. Both of those markets are closed. I'll wait and see. Never mind, I'm already bored of watching candles. I jumped into a short with 71,000 units, which is all the capital I have right now. So I went ahead and jumped in because I was tired of just watching it. I'm waiting for it to break past this area because there's nothing but air all the way down. You know, there's some wicks here, these little wicks that might cause a bit of a problem. But even if it started having a problem there, that's still a pretty good amount of profit potential right there. Euro dollar. Wow, price is slicing through hardcore floors like it is butter. And this is good. I like this. I embrace this. Move against me into this zone because I know there is no way you're going all the way through that. And this is the one that I did well on today that actually made money when the news hit. I see opportunity come up. I wish I had capital right. I wish you had some capital right there too. If only you'd gotten out of those check trades. I'm in euro dollar long, but let me look at the chart. Last time I had it up, it was already starting rallying. It's already going up. So it's up to you on entry if you want to get in. So I'm basically saying, okay, it went down here, and you notice I don't have that order there anymore. My position size increased when it came down to this level. It snatched up that order that I had ready and waiting. I was anticipating it, hoping it would get down there. And look what happened. As soon as it touched that area, which is a double zone right there, you see that? That's one color inside of another color. As soon as it touched it, it flew up. So I'm just telling Derek there, hey, he was trying to get back, he wanted to get in on this. I said, that's, you know, jump in if you like, but I'm just telling you it's already going up. So it's up to you whether you want to jump in now or maybe wait for a pullback. Euro dollar. I'm already in profit on that one. That's how far it jetted up. Seems to have some good momentum to the upside. Went up really fast. Euro dollar, not many ceilings in the way. Look at that. That right there is beautiful. Strong reinforced floor. And this is a lower time frame. This is a 30-minute chart. So you can't see all the brown and the blue down here because this is too low of a time frame, but they're down here. That's where I started. Is it on that one? No, it's not on that one. There. That's what's down there. It's just not showing up because that's a 30-minute chart. So huge reinforced zone here, but look what's above it. Hardly anything. That's air. That is all profit. Now there is a zone here. There's a 30-minute box that I should have drawn right there because you can see that wick right there. That is turquoise. I didn't draw it. But still good profit to be made there, especially since it came all the way from here. And you remember I had a buy order with a lot more units than I started with. So I'm starting at literally the beginning of this move. And I ended up setting a profit before I went to my client's office. I think I set my profit target right up here before that 30-minute zone. So I had my profit target ready to go before I left to go to my client's office. And that is how I was able to get, where is that one? Right here. How much did I end up getting? Almost $1,800 on that one. Price is very predictable. I keep saying it. Very predictable. Euro Aussie. I just set a buy order to close my position out. So why did I close that? Let's see. I just set a buy order to close my position. Oh, okay, gotcha. All right. I wasn't following what I was doing there. Here. See how I set that around taking into account these wicks here? I didn't go all the way down here because I thought these wicks are going to cause a problem. If only I had done that with that turkey trade. If I had done what I did here, I would not have been out that $2,700. So that was a huge costly mistake. Because right here, I'm playing it smart. I did the right thing here. I took those into account. Did not do that with that turkey trade. I got too excited about my profit over there and just ran with it feet first. Aussie CAD. Set sell order to close position. So right here, I have a sell order ready and waiting for when price rallies. I'm in a long position. You can see the blue. So this is a 30-minute chart. So I'm assuming there is well, I know there has to be a monthly, weekly situation going on here because that's where I trade. So it's coming out of a strong floor, and I'm anticipating it coming up here. And right now, what you're seeing is me setting up for not being at my computer. I'm about to leave for my client's office, so I'm setting up my profit targets on all of these pairs, knowing that I'm not going to be at my computer. Had I been at my computer, I really wouldn't worry about doing this so much because I'm watching it. But since I knew I wasn't going to be at my computer until tonight, I was setting those up. Here's the Euro US that I ended up making $1,800 on. I set a profit target. I gave you the area. I wish I had gone further up with it because I don't know how far up that sucker went, but it probably went up into this zone with all the momentum it had. So I set a conservative target on that right here before this 3-hour chart. And here's another instance where if that news had happened when I was at the computer, there's no way I would have stopped there. If I had seen news just hit, I'm going to let that sucker fly as high as it wants to go. So this is another instance where me not being at my computer at the time that that news hit really cost me and hindered me from being able to keep that loss from being as bad as it was. So, but here again, I'm setting up for not being at my computer. Euro dollar. I'm out of this position now. Price has moved about halfway between the monthly ceiling and floor, and I make it a point not to trade in that area. I updated my monthly, weekly ceilings and floors, set new 50-unit notification trades, and now I'm moving on to other parts. And this is just tonight, a little while ago. So this is like the aftermath, right? I've already made my $1,800. The news, all that's died down. This is tonight. I got out of this. And what I'm talking about here is price is now right here in between these two huge zones, which are my playing fields, right? I play down here and I play up here, and it's right in between right now. So I'm done with this pair. It probably will go all the way up here, but that's the key word, probably, right? It's losing momentum the further away from this floor it gets. It's still going to have strong momentum, but how far up it goes, who knows? It could turn any time. It's right there in the middle. And if you ever hear people say middle of the curve, this is what they're talking about. So I trade at the extreme ends of curve, right? And this is where a lot of people disagree with my methods because most people will say trend is more important than curve. I am completely opposite. I trade at the extreme ends of curve, and it almost always is counter trend when I get into it because I don't bother to wait for it to turn around. I just go ahead and get in at the beginning of those big zones, and I just know somewhere in there it's going to turn around. So pretty much every trade I take is counter trend. I'm a curve trader. I trade on the extreme ends of the curve, and when it starts getting to the middle of the curve, I'm done. I don't want to risk it anymore. It's too far away. I have better pairs to trade that are in my playing field. But that's me, not advising, just telling you what I do. You tell people that you do counter trend trades and they freak out. Most investors, that's like the cornerstone of trading theology. You trade with the trend. And here I am, I almost never am trading with the trend. I am trading with the trend once it turns around and I'm going in and out as it goes up. But when I first get in that trade, not only am I not trading with the trend, but I'm throwing money at it as it's losing and going against me. I'm like breaking every rule that is like the cornerstone of the trader's prevalent theology. So there you go. But I've made $18,000 in 8 days of trading now, so it seems to be working, and I'm gonna keep going with that and milk that gravy train for all it's worth. And when it stops working, I'll adjust it. Every time I make mistakes, I'm pointing them out and I'm trying to learn from them. I pointed out my mistakes and what happened here. Every time I spot a mistake and how I could have done it better, I'm trying to point it out, because not only hopefully will that help you guys learn from my mistakes, but hopefully it'll help me learn from my mistakes. So, and that brings us to current. Before I go and sign off, anybody have any questions? Any concerns, questions, issues, victories, results? Anything that you'd like to bring up before I sign off for the night? And I think I did everything right today. It'd be a miracle, right? If I actually got the recording to work and the audio to work and the screen to work, that would be a miracle. But I think I actually got it all the check marks today. So hopefully I can post this and people can watch it as much as they want. And hopefully when I did the zone drawings, it was slow enough and big enough that everyone could get a good grasp on it. But you guys give me feedback. If there's anything I can do to help you more or do something differently or something I'm not touching on that I should be, tell me. I'm open for constructive criticism. So, all right. I don't think anyone has any questions. So I am going to end the meeting and we'll see you guys. I'm going to try to get up at 4, but I'm getting over a cold, so I'm kind of wanting to sleep longer, but we'll see. I'm probably motivated still to do it even when I'm sick. We'll see. Maybe I can take a nap tomorrow. All right, you guys have a good night. We'll see you at the London Open.